welcome to Coach's Corner Part 2. Today our guests are Wayne Smith and Mike Jennings, two names that are known in boxing. Mike Jennings being a former fighter himself, turned coach. And obviously we've got Wayne, who works alongside, even though he's got his own gym, works alongside Pat and has been in corners with Pat Barrett for Zelfa Barrett and Lyndon Arthur. Thank you both very much for coming on Coach's Corner.
Yeah.
No worries, pleasure.
Apart from Wayne trying to get out of it and making up excuses.
I apologize. I really do.
I'd like to say that Mike was on time and he showed true dedication to the cause.
All right. I'm guilty. I can't really say anything about it. I'm guilty.
I'd like to talk about today, I'd like you guys to talk about the recent bout on the weekend. We're talking about the Whyte Povetkin 2 card, or at the time it was Povetkin Whyte 2. You guys have got tremendous experience and been in boxing for a while. So I'm going to touch on the first fight, which was with Youssef Khoumari and Kane Baker, which ended up in a stoppage in round 5. I don't know about you guys, but did you watch any of the pre-fight pressers where it seems as if Kane Baker was the favourite going in? But I'm going to put it over to yourself, Mike. Just talk about what you thought about before the fight actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, Kane Baker, you know, he's a bit more aggressive than Youssef, and like you said beforehand, I don't like, they weren't like exactly going head to head, but you could see there was a little bit of something between them both, you know what I mean? Something what needed to be sorted out in the ring, and obviously on the night it got sorted out.
Yeah. How about yourself, Wayne? Pre the fight?
I only watched the highlights of that because that was early, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at 5 p.m.
So I only watched the highlights of it. So I can't really talk about it as such because I didn't read into that one so much, that fight. If I did try and comment on it, I'd be telling lies. So from the truth, you know. But I know Kane Baker's boxed on a few matchroom shows now. Yeah. But I think he's just, he's a 50-50 fighter, isn't he, really? I know it.
You know what, I thought he put a good shift in, to be fair. That Youssef got a good jab, low left hand, getting caught every now and again over the top of that left, over the top of his low lead hand. And to be fair, the finish, what caught Baker, it was a good finish. Youssef was catching him in that right uppercut as well. And that's what started the combination of, I thought, what brought the fight to an end. But it was a good fight, to be fair. He's managed by Dillian Whyte as well, so I'd imagine they're going to try and push him on. 12 fights, 5 KOs, so he can punch a bit. He's not a bad boxer. Look, sometimes I think he's a little bit too relaxed with that lead hand, you know what I mean? He sometimes, when he reaches in a little bit, sometimes leaves his feet out of range. So when he's leading in, sometimes his chin's coming up himself. So there's vulnerabilities there, but there's also a lot of good points. You know what? I'm not sure who's coaching him actually, but you know he could be a decent kid. I think. Yeah, I think he had 40 on amateur fights or something.
Yeah, he's being coached by Dillian Whyte's trainer, Xavier Miller. And,
yeah, well, he knows what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? He does know what he's doing. You just got to look at Dillian Whyte. Obviously, you know you're going to speak about him later, but. Yeah. When you look at Dillian's record, so he's boxed and rematches as well. Chisora rematch, won his first one on a split, and obviously second one KO. So he's also improved Dillian Whyte. So I don't see why he can't improve Youssef.
Look at his box rec after it, because I know one of them was calling Zelfa Barrett out. So I did see that. Once he heard that, I did have a little look at his box rec. He's been a pro since 2017.
Yeah.
So he's had this slow. Christian Lake, he boxed one of them. I've seen that. He got beat for an English title. Or no, had a draw, didn't he, for an English title?
Yeah.
Yeah, Liam Dillon.
Dillon.
Again, Liam Dillon. I mean, the sort of fight what Youssef is, he did struggle with pressure what Lee and Dillian was putting on him. Just a little bit too negative for me. That Lee and Dillian just got his hand up, went forward and non-stop punching, and I think it was a close fight. To be fair, you couldn't have picked a win. Obviously, it was a draw. So, you know, I think he needs to work on his game, as in holding that centre a little bit more rather than just being back-footed, a little bit negative every now and again.
Yeah, which he came on in this fight. You saw more of him coming forward.
Yeah, when he was actually, I thought he looked a better fighter coming forward. You know, when he was holding that centre, it was, you know, he's got a cracking jab, and he's got a good right uppercut as well. He was throwing that quite a lot, and he threw that when he was on his front foot. It was that right uppercut, I think, what Kane Baker, you know, hurt at the start, and then obviously he jumps on him and put a good combination together. Yeah,
also I thought he had quite good timing.
But yeah, you normally find with them sort of fighters what got that lead left hand, what's really low, you know, using the shoulders defense and the backhand. 9 times out of 10, when they get to a certain level, you normally see they have got good timing. That's why they do it from there rather than being up there. But yeah, you know, he looks half decent. What's he had? 12. He's 12-0, one draw, 5 KOs. So he's got a bit of power there as well. Yeah, it's interesting, really. Good fight. So,
Wayne, you were talking about him calling out Zalfa. Youssef mentioned that he would fight Zalfa Barrett. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think anyone was going to call out somebody who's high on the same weight division, and if it's with Matchroom, they're going to call him out because Zalfa's a lot higher up in the ladder at the moment. So, you know, we're going to call someone out of that nature to stir something up for the future. I think at the moment he's a couple of fights away from Zalfa. Well, until he mixes with the same type of people Zalfa would be mixing with, he's just going to call him out. I don't think he's at that level yet, myself, personally. Although, as I said, I only watched the highlights of it. It was a good stoppage and it did look okay. And that's all I can say on that.
That's the first I've heard he calls Zalfa out, but like Wayne just said then, you know, Zalfa's he's boxed better opposition than what Youssef boxed, and he's sparred probably better as well. So I just think it might be a step too soon for that kid yet. Zalfa's a big puncher, and this kid sometimes, you know, when he's leaning forward, I think Zalfa could catch him and probably hurt him because he can hurt most people, Zalfa, when he connects clean.
Youssef, to me, put on a really good performance, showed some real good boxing skill. I do agree with you, Mike, and I've said it to Youssef that I thought he was more of a back foot fighter, but in this fight, he really took ownership of the centre of the ring, set up the jab perfectly. His timing, what I liked about Youssef in this fight was his timing. It was almost punch perfect. He was able to land those shots quite well. And he was doing unpredictable shots as well. I found that he did the jab and then he'd go straight into the hook. So I think Kane may have been anticipating the backhand to come. So he was slipping, but getting caught with the hook. So we used some quite good IQ in the ring as well. Stoppage was fair. You know, it looked like Kane had took enough punishment and his legs had gone. The gum shield as well came out 4 times.
Yeah, he ended up getting a point taken off him for that, didn't he? And to be fair, like the actual commentators were saying, it might have been a crappy fit gum shield, but it was actually punches as well what was knocking it out right. He weren't spitting it out on purpose. He was, you know, I think he was getting caught with shots and it was flying out, but he just next time also he needs a new gum shield, doesn't it?
I was about to say, would you say that it was poor fitting then if it just kept on flying out? Like, not every round, but the 4 out of the 5.
It was coming out most of the time, well, from what I've seen, from when he was actually getting caught. And maybe, I don't know, maybe he held his mouth open. I'm not too sure, but obviously if it was a good fitting gum shield, if your mouth was open, it wouldn't come out. So, yeah I would say he needs a new gum shield.
Wayne, anything from yourself?
Well, it could be an old pro trick, you know, when you get caught with a shot, you speak on me out to get that extra few seconds. But as I say, I'll agree with Mike. Poor fitting mouth guard.
Chris Kongo versus that very, very awkward southpaw, Michael McKinson. Yeah. Talk to me about that fight, because once again, Chris Kongo was touted as the favourite going in there, and from the get-go, what happened?
Yeah. I just think he found it hard with the southpaw style. He made himself, as you said, he made himself very awkward. He done a two-phase when he was going forward with the southpaw style. So I don't think he could handle that. Well, and he dropped him the first round. I know it was only a flash knockdown, but from that moment on, he just didn't look comfortable with that style. He really never. And I just think he had a better game plan. All in all, I thought Kongo at some points he was like boxing like he was an amateur in a way. Like you get that your point system where you score and then raise your hand. He was fighting like that, which is like, you know, it's a professional game. It's not the amateurs where like you score and you want to show the judges that you've scored. I just think he had a better game plan. I did think the decision was right. And he made himself, as I said before, he made that southpaw style work for him really, really good. Like by going twice with it. Do you know what I mean? So that's my views on that one. It was an enjoyable fight, really enjoyable fight that.
Yeah, it was very awkward to watch. Mike, over to yourself.
Yeah, same as Wayne there. I just think he struggled with that southpaw stance. Kinson was catching him with them backhands straight down the middle all the time, and the backhand ups as well. So, and again, Kongo lead hand a little bit low for me, especially fighting that southpaw. Southpaw just comes over the top.
Yeah.
When you look at Kongo's height and that Kinson, Kongo looked a much bigger person. Do you know what I mean? So, as far as boxing is concerned, you would have thought Kongo had the advantage, but to me, it looked like Kinson did. And even though Kinson, he was reaching in with his shots, he was successful all the time with him. He couldn't miss with his backhand. And again, that Kongo, I thought when he actually did go on his front foot for the short time that he did, he was having good success with it, which against the southpaw, you want to be trying to get him on the back foot. Having a southpaw coming onto you, putting you on them ropes and stuff, I always struggled with that sort of thing, you know what I mean? So you want to be quite, I think personally, as boxing a southpaw, an orthodox boxing a southpaw, the orthodox has got to be in control. The orthodox has got to be the one fiddling about and throwing them backhands. But Kongo let Kinson dominate, to be fair, in how we boxed, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. Just, you know, even from a fan's point of view, watching it myself, it just looked so awkward. I just felt like Kongo couldn't find his range with him. McKinson, being a shorter fighter, was able to close the distance and get back out, even though Kongo was a taller fighter, he just couldn't seem to get to him.
No, I thought he struggled with his range, and that's what I'm saying. With him being so tall, looked like he had long arms as well. It was just like, I just think he was trying to pull out before he was letting his shots go, and by doing that, leaving himself off balance, Kinson was just catching him with that backhand at will.
Absolutely, because most of that, his balance was just totally off.
Yeah, I thought so.
I think that's because he was going twice. I think with it, he was stepping twice. I think it was very clever what he done there. You know, because he was the smaller fighter, and I think he was going and then he was going again, like he was doing the two phase. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was very, and then getting out the way. So I thought it was very clever.
He did. He boxed well, that Kinson, didn't he? I thought that as well. I thought he boxed really well, catching Kongo with some decent shots as well. Yeah. Good fight, but I just like you say, I think Kongo, he struggled with that southpaw stance. He's probably boxed southpaws before as an amateur or whatever, I don't know. But if I was training that kid, I'd take him back to the gym and just get him loads of work with southpaws, put it right.
And that was going to be my next question. Back to the drawing board with Kongo, what would you do moving forward?
Looking at that fight, I've not seen all his fights, I won't lie, but looking at that fight, you know, it's his only loss as well, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
You know, to avenge that loss, I will get him back in the gym and just get him more to work with southpaws and on the bags, working southpaw, shadow boxing, working southpaw, get the cones on the floor, making him move to his left, stepping him with his 1-2. You know, I'd just be doing all that sort of thing, get him blocking with his lead hand as well instead of just his backhand.
Yeah.
Just everything you do with a southpaw against that southpaw, basically.
Especially because he's taller, so he could have well just stepped in that backhand because he had the range on him.
A good example of that was how Chorley dealt with Glowacki the week or so before. You know, similar height difference, used his range really well, kept that foot on the outside, you know, used his jab and then threw the backhand when, you know, when necessary, but boxed really clever.
The good thing with what Chorley did, he used his jab as his rangefinder. That was his rangefinder. He knew the backhand was a power shot, so he's using that jab to find his range. And then as soon as he found that range, boom, he let that backhand go. And, you know, it was fair play to Chorley because obviously, you know, he beat one of my lads. And in the fight that he beat him in, Matty Askin, he was a stinker. Probably no one ever wanted to watch him fight again. But off that fight, you think, you know what, I want to watch that kid again. Even he's got something, he can punch, he's massive for the weight. Even though I think he only weighed in at 13 stone 10. I'm sure that's
even that.
Yeah, he looks a lot bigger. 13 stone 10. They're on about moving him up to heavyweight or something, but he's going to have to grow if he does.
Well, as Mike just said there, the blueprint was there. He should have just watched a Chorley, used his size to the advantage, wait for that backhand. But that's where McKinson was like very clever because he used his size for his advantage, and he was in and out. He made his size work for him really good, and his southpaw style. He done really well. I met that kid on an MCK show. So yeah, he's a nice kid as well, and his dad from Portsmouth. He had the good people.
So we're going to talk about Eric Molina and Fabio Wardley. Can I get your take on that fight then, Wayne?
I don't know about this Fabio Wardley, whether he's just a big hype job. Because Molina, did he really want to be in there that night? You know,
that's the question.
But what he was doing everything right until he got stopped. Do you know what I mean? But I think that Wardley, he's got a lot to learn. You know, he hasn't got an amateur background. He's got a unlicensed background, white collar. So he's had no amateur experience. But I think right now, if he comes across like a decent heavyweight, I think he's going to struggle. You know, he's got power. He's good. He's a marketable kid because he's good looking, does everything right, says all the right things. He's with Dillian Whyte. But you know, Molina, did he want to have it? Did he really want to be in there that night? You know, because to me, it just looked like a holiday for him. He turned up. He never even had his boxing boots on. Do you know what I mean? And then he was doing everything right, and it looked like he could have beat him. But then again, we go back to that: did he really want to? You know, that's a big question marks. There's still question marks on Wardley. Take nothing away for him. He's done everything asked of him. He's been match good. He's done everything. That should have been his a test. But to be a test against somebody who really is a name but doesn't want to be in there, you know, is that really a test? Do you know? Or I could be completely wrong. He might be the dog side. Do you know? I don't know what your views on that one are, but
Mike?
I mean, a lot of what Wayne said. No, yeah, he is right. He's not had a lot of experience as an amateur. He's not been tested as such. This, like Wayne said, this was supposed to be his test against Eric Molina, who is a seasoned pro. You know, so I mean, whether he come to give it a go, no one will know that. Fabio did the job against him, and got a few questions asked. You know, he get in catch with that right hand. I think again, Fabio, left hand law, slick heavyweight, but he is getting caught with the wrong shots at that weight as well. You know, Molina hit him with a couple of decent right hands, and Fabio did look at up until the point where he stopped. Actually, yeah.
It was when he was on the ropes.
Yeah, and then he came back with his own. I think it was a left hook. He couldn't see it properly, but it did look like a left hook and then a right hand, and obviously Molina went down. But I've seen it. I've seen a few of his fights, Fabio, and you've got to be impressed with his movement for that weight. But whether it'll cut it at the top against the big lads is, you know, it's questionable, especially, you know, with his lack of experience. So I just think he does need to learn on the job. He needs a couple of good tests, people who are going to stay in there with him, ask him a few questions. Yeah, this kid did. But it's like Wayne said, did he want to be there? I don't actually know the answer to that. But he's doing everything right anyway. He's doing everything right as he should be doing. He's knocking people out. He's had 11 fights, 10 knockouts, is it? Something like that. So, yeah, he's doing everything right against the opponents, what he's been putting in with. You know, you can only fight with who's in there with you, and that's what he's been doing, and he's been knocking them out. So, yeah, he's a prospect. You know, he's one to watch, but I'd like to see him in with someone who's going to give him a bit of a test, a good few rounds, see what he's like in the later rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a video circuit. Well, it was in Eric Molina's story, which sort of goes back to what you said. Well, the both of you have said, did he want to be there? But I think Molina played this video where it was, it shows Fabio tripping him up, and that's how he fell. And I think
it didn't look like you said. I've watched it back a few times, you know, the actual stoppage, and it didn't look like a clean shot what he caught him with, and he went down and he never got back up.
And he just stayed there.
So,
I mean,
yeah, that was just, maybe it was that angle that I watched it on, because I did try finding a different angle on it, but I couldn't find nothing. So it was just that one. But I weren't too sure if it looked like a left hook had caught him, and then the right hand, what he threw, it had like gone over the top of his head, and like you said, he might have tripped him up. But it could have been that left hook walked in him, but it weren't very clear. You couldn't really see it that well.
Yeah, but it's ironic that Molina's put that up, but sort of like saying, well, he didn't. You know, he didn't knock me down. He didn't knock me out.
Well, if he didn't knock him down or knock him out, why did he not get up?
There you go.
You know what I mean? If it was a trip, then you'd imagine he should have got up, shouldn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's like pointless showing all of these intricacies now. It's what he did on the night, and it looks like he just chose to stay on the floor, if I'm honest.
Yeah, possibly.
But the angle what you watched it on is the same angle what I think the majority of people that watched it on.
You couldn't see it proper, could you?
Yeah.
No.
So okay, it's one of them. It could have been a good test, because Molina's been in with the likes of Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, to name, you know, the top seasoned heavyweights. Molina actually wobbled Wilder when he's fought him. Obviously, he didn't have that same effect on Anthony Joshua, but like you said, Mike, he's a seasoned pro. He was boxing quite well, but like you said, Wayne, did he really want to be there?
Mike said, until he has a good test with somebody, you know, he's 10-0, 11-0, you know, he's knocking people down, he's knocking people over, he's doing everything what's asked of him, but until he gets a good test, you know, of somebody even in this country is flying for heavyweights. Until he has a good test, we won't really know where he is, what level he's at. You know, if you look at it, you look at the David thing the night before on the look at him, and that's a heavyweight, David Abanisi. Adelaide. Yeah, sorry, Adelaide. You know, so if you know. Look at them. He's calling out Nathan Gorman, isn't he? You know.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of heavyweights at that level underneath him. So it remains to be seen. I could be wrong. You know, I don't know. You know, obviously he's doing something right. He's getting as I say, he's marked Bill. He looks right. He's doing everything that's asked of him. So good luck to him. And we'll just see how the journey goes with him.
Absolutely. Then we're going to move on to the main fight of the evening, which was Povetkin v Whyte. I'm going to start with Mike. Break that fight down. Talk to us about what you saw.
Yeah, well, with that one, I don't think no one knew before the fight how Dillian Whyte was going to come out, because of actually what happened last time. Dillian Whyte last time for me was winning the fight anyway, and just got caught with that left uppercut, and he'd done him. But this time he came out and did a better job than the first fight for me. And the way he finished him as well. I mean, was Povetkin past his best? I don't know, but it was a rematch, one that he was beaten in the time before, and he did the job, did a perfect job on him.
Wayne, what's your?
Yeah, I just agree with what Mike said. It was exactly the same. He was winning the fight, Dillian, in the last one, and then he just got caught. But I thought he was a different animal this time, though. I thought he just wanted that determination. Even when he come out, he just wanted it. He had that will to win. Nothing would have stopped him that night, I don't think. I just thought he just wanted it more. He's talking about Povetkin, saying he's old. He was this. He was exactly the same Povetkin who boxed last time. He looked the same last time. He got dropped 3 times last time, and he still pulled that shot out the bag. So he was the same, but Whyte was just a better man on the night, and good luck to him.
Yeah, I like Whyte. I think he's a good fighter, and he's definitely improved. He got I think it was a split decision win against Chisora the first time, then boxed Chisora again, knocked him out. Yeah, knocked Lucas Brown out, beat Parker. He hurt Joshua. I do like Dillian Whyte. I like his attitude. He just wants to fight, doesn't he? And
yeah.
That's what you want to see in it. Them heavyweights, you want that, don't you? You want a bit of aggression from them. So yeah, fair play to Dillian Whyte. I hope he goes on and gets his world title. A decent world title that he wants.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm glad that both of you said the comment that you've made about Povetkin, because a few people have been saying, Povetkin was washed. He still probably got COVID. He's 42, 41, whatever. The fight was the first fight was a few months before. Yes, we've had several postponements. Yes, Povetkin has had COVID, but I'm just glad that you guys have put the point out there that it was the same Povetkin. Yourself, Wayne, has said it was the same Povetkin that was there last time. Do you guys feel that no matter what Dillian does, because if you look at it in the scheme of things, the way I see it is Dillian's on the back foot because he's chasing the titles. So say, for example, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder will get to fight fighters before he gets to them, just in a chronological time view. So no matter who Dillian Whyte fights, he's always fighting after those guys have fought them. So he's almost like he's always in arrears. So it's like people are saying, but he's fighting them and they're old. What's his name already beat him. As boxing coaches, as taking fighters through, do you find that this can sometimes be a problem for fighters where they're sort of like not really taken seriously because it feels like they're having everyone's scraps or seconds. So the fighter gets, sort of like downtrodden a bit?
Yeah, basically, you're down if you don't sort of situation, yeah. So you can't win. You can put fights in a fight where it's a win-win. It's a win-win fight. No matter if they lose, they'll still win. It's like one of my fights, Marcel Braithwaite, when he boxed Sonny Edwards for the British title. It was a win-win. He could not lose that fight because he'd already been beat by Brad Friedel, and then he boxed Sonny Edwards. So it was a win-win situation. The way with Dillian, it's the opposite. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you get what I'm saying, sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know your takes on it, Mike.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, But like when you look at the three other names what you mentioned, Fury, Joshua, and Deontay Wilder, they're at the top of the game, like all levels. You know, them are the boys what are making the big money sort of thing. So they are going to get these fights before Dillian Whyte.
Yeah.
Like Wayne just said there, for Dillian, they are a gamble because these have all beat him. And if he gets beat off these lads, what they've beat as well, and they're on the way down, then that don't put Dillian Whyte in a good position. I mean, to be fair, you've got to put Dillian Whyte up there now. I'm not saying he will beat him, but you've got to put him in the same brackets of Fury, Joshua, and Deontay Wilder because he does deserve them sort of fights. So I think, anyway, I do think, and I think that personally.
So then going on.
If he was to get beat off Povetkin last time, I don't know where he would have gone from there.
That would be completely rebuilding, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But that's boxing for you.
I was about to say, sorry, in your opinion then, do you believe that, you know, after the graft that Dillian's put in and what he's proved, do you think that he should have a world title shot?
Yeah, I think yes. I mean, obviously, they're all the three at the top. Well, the two, Joshua and Fury.
Yeah,
you know, they've got to fight it out for all the belts or whatever, and then obviously again it could be Deontay Wilder, or if there's anyone else, it's got to be Dillian Whyte. I think personally.
Yeah, he goes after the fight. He goes after the fights. He'll fight anybody. He wants to fight everybody, and that's why I like him. Yeah, because he won't turn a fight down. He'll fight. You know, you just look at the people who he's fought. Everyone who's boxed at all top. You know, and I respect them, and I respect the fighter who's not scared to fight and get in with anyone. You know, and he's that fighter. He'll get in with anyone.
We've got, like you said, we've got a few heavyweights coming up. Now we're talking about skill bases of fighters. Joel Joyce's name has been put in as one of them that would give Dillian Whyte a hard time. Mike, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Joyce is a good fighter. You know, he's got the amateur pedigree and he's hard as nails. Look what he did like in his last fight as well. You know, so he probably will give Dillian Whyte a tough fight without a doubt. But at this moment in time, I still think Dillian Whyte deserves the shot before him. Like, which is, we go back to the point a minute ago. Dillian Whyte's fighting all the lads what the top three have beat as well. So that's the way it goes. That's just boxing for you. I mean, if Dillian Whyte was to fight Joe Joyce, that would be a brilliant fight. But I just think Dillian Whyte does deserve that chance because of the kids that he's boxed beforehand. I think, you know, he deserves a shot. He's been promised it for God knows how long anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wayne?
You know, it'd be good.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. It definitely needs I'd give him the like, first of all, Joe Joyce is a problem for anyone. Yeah. But Whyte needs, and he deserves that shot before anyone. He's proved it. He's been there. He's been waiting. He had no need to take the Povetkin fight in the first place, did he? The first one.
Yeah.
Now you've gone now.
Yeah, I went and it was.
He had no need to take that one in the first place. He took it, you know, and then he's just dusted himself down, come back, and then knocked them out again. So I think he deserves everything now before anyone.
We've touched on Wilder. Is Wilder going to come back into the mix?
Your guess is as good as mine. I do not know. You know.
Yeah. Wilder talks a good fight, doesn't he? He talks a good fight. He's the king and all this, like he's saying, but the king will rise. But I'm a bit unsure myself, to be honest with you. Yeah. I'd like to see him come back. I'd like to see him fight again. Him versus Dillian Whyte would be a good fight. But I'm not too sure. I don't know. Don't know what's happening there.
Wayne?
You and the rest of the boxing world, nobody knows what's happening with him. Do you know, I would like him to come back, obviously, because he's entertaining and, you know, he's one of the big boys in the mix. But is he? I don't know.
Also, Dillian Whyte, he's only been beaten twice, and one was Povetkin and one was Joshua.
Joshua, yeah.
Yeah, so he's already avenged his Povetkin fight. Let him try and avenge his Joshua fight.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on Coach's Corner, episode 2. Abs of October Red. Mike Jennings, thank you. Wayne Smith, thank you. Until the next time, we'll speak to you soon. October Red on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And don't forget, at October Red, we stay ready.